Tomorrow, Charlie's offered an attractive proposition.
The money. I mean, where does the 7 million come from?
You really want to know, don't you?
You won't know about this, but we're in the middle of a major drugs operation.
What makes you think I'll go with you this time?
So, where does the £7 million come from?
He has an explanation.
Listen! He's got my daughter. And if he's got her, then he's got me.
Bergerac's on the case. Tomorrow at 7:40 on BBC One.
Well, the offbeat crime-busters Lazarus and Dingwall are about to make their BBC Two debut now with the really serious crime squad, solving such questions as who stuffed the Colombian haddock. Here on One, after the news in a moment, there's a comic look at contemporary Australia with the boys from the bush at 9:30. At 10:25, we join Cain and Abel's continuing feud in the year 1930. Then, following a news update at 5 to 12, James Coburn stars in Blake Edwards' Mystery of Medical Malpractice, The Carey Treatment, followed by a final look at news and weather. Now, with the 9 o'clock news, here's Martin Lewis.
Iraq's failed attempt to capture Hafji is now said to have been part of a plan for a large-scale invasion of Saudi Arabia. The first evidence of the ferocity of the fighting that beat back 5 Iraqi cross-border incursions. And President de Klerk promises to scrap South Africa's remaining apartheid laws. Good evening. British military sources now say that the battle for the town of Hafji was part of a large-scale attempt by Saddam Hussein's troops to invade Saudi Arabia. But the Allied response, pounding the invaders with artillery and airstrikes, stopped and scattered them. The land action is also believed to be linked to the fighting at sea, in which the Allies say the Iraqi Navy was badly damaged. The number of Iraqis killed in the Hafji operation is now put at 30, with 500 taken prisoner. Other developments.
The Screen 2 presentation on BBC Two shortly is Old Flames by Simon Gray, starring Stephen Fry and Simon Callow as a pair of public school contemporaries who become the target of an ingenious conspiracy. Well, to enable us to provide comprehensive coverage of the latest developments in the Gulf, we've slightly rearranged the rest of the evening here on BBC One. The news in a moment is followed at 9:30 by the first in a new series of That's Life. Mastermind also embarks on a new series at 10:10 to find that super brain of 1991. At 10:40, Everyman follows the final days of a young woman facing death from leukemia, who was able to prepare her family and friends for the final parting. We've more news from the Gulf at 11:20, after which the new Secretary of State for Education talks to Clean Slate. At midnight, Patrick Moore scans the sky at night. And then to round off the evening, at midnight, we've another update on news in the Gulf. So now to our main news of the evening, for which we join Michael Burke. This is BBC One. It's 9 o'clock.
Saddam Hussein says Iraq is not beaten yet. From his bunker in Baghdad, he says only a fraction of his air forces have been used so far. He parades captive Allied airmen. 2 of them, the Iraqis say, are an RAF Tornado crew. And tonight, Iraq fires 2 Scuds at Saudi Arabia, but both are destroyed by American Patriot missiles. Good evening. Despite the quickening tempo of Allied air attacks, Saddam Hussein remains defiant. His forces fired 2 Scud missiles at Saudi Arabia tonight, but the Pentagon says 5 Patriot anti-missile missiles were fired and destroyed them both. Allied airmen have been paraded on Iraqi television, including, it was said, the 2-man crew of an RAF Tornado. And tonight, in a radio broadcast from Baghdad, Saddam Hussein called for other Arab countries to join a holy war against the West. He claimed that only a fraction of his air forces had been used so far. But Allied spokesmen speak of winning the war in the air, of 7,000 sorties and more losses on both sides. Another RAF Tornado is missing, the 3rd British plane to be lost. In the last 24 hours, 4 other Allied planes have failed to return, 3 American, the other Saudi. A total of 15 Allied planes have now been lost since the war began. The Americans say 15 Iraqi planes have been shot down in air-to-air combat, 5 of them today. The Allied military commander says 16 Iraqi Scud missile launchers have been destroyed. There were no further Scud attacks on Israel last night. The Allies say air attacks have gravely damaged Iraqi nuclear reactors. They may be out of action for years. The Pentagon has confirmed that the Scud missiles fired tonight were aimed at Allied forces stationed at Dhahran. It's the second time in 3 days that the American Patriot defense missile has successfully destroyed incoming Scuds. The attack came after another day of intensive bombing raids on Iraqi targets. Allied airstrikes against troop concentrations and munitions dumps have been stepped up along the Saudi border with Kuwait and Iraq. Huge B-52 bombers have continued to strike at the key Republican Guard units equipped with modern Soviet tanks in northern Kuwait. And in Baghdad, some of the heaviest bombing yet has sparked fires near strategic targets in the city. American Marines flying Harrier jump jets from aircraft carriers in the Gulf have again attacked artillery emplacements just inside Kuwait. Iraq has fired at least 3 short-range Frog missiles into the Saudi Arabian